Hey everybody, thanks for listening. Mike, what's up, dude? How's it going?
Oh wow, an old school entrance.
Yeah.
Look at that. Wow. It's been a while since I've heard this intro.
I tried to revise it a little.
Things are going well, Mateo.
Good.
Except for the fact that it's cold as shit.
Is
I'm
it?
not ready for the cold.
Oh, who would have thought that it's cold in the underworld that you live in?
I'm in the overworld, damn it. It's been a crazy year as far as weather goes. In September, we went from having 90-degree days, and then 1 week later, it started to rain, and it didn't stop raining until it got to be below freezing, and then it started to snow. So we've had like 2 snowstorms so far, and it's only November.
Wow.
Yeah. But I live in a crazy part of the world, man. Within the span of a year, we will differ over 100 degrees.
Yeah, well, I used to say move to California, but with recent events, I don't think I can suggest that anymore.
No.
Which leads us into what we're going to talk about, which is not natural disasters, but unnatural.
But death lasers from outer space.
Unnatural disasters. We will be getting into
death lasers
from outer space.
Yeah. The Galactic Empire is finally worn off on the governments of the world, so, watch your ass.
When you say stuff like the Galactic Empire now, it doesn't make me think of a cool fleet of like half robot space warrior princes or anything like that. It just makes me think of Trump's Space Marine Force. I still want to know why he wants to do that.
It's a terrifying thing.
It is. I want to know why he wants to do that. Of all things, why would he say
to fight the Martians? That's why. He still thinks that Martians are a thing, and he is determined to bring the fight to them before they bring their tripods to us.
Oh, I don't know.
You can't build a wall in space, Mateo, so the only option you have is a good offensive maneuver.
What if we're all thinking of one day when aliens attack and he's like, I told you guys. He's going to be like, we already have a fucking space force for it.
Either that or the Martians are really trying to save us and he's a reptilian. And he just pulls his stupid face off. Dude, and he's like, bah.
See, now we got to question any alien invasion while Trump's in office.
Operation Bluebeam, man.
Well,
he's going to orchestrate it, and then he's going to build a wall, and then eat everybody inside of that wall. See, his whole thing with the Mexican wall, he's not trying to keep them out. He's trying to keep us in. Because when shit hits the fan, we're running to the borders, and he's like, nah. And Canada's already like, fuck you guys. So,
oh, man.
Yeah. He's going to unleash his hordes of lizard people to eat all our babies, turn the rest of us to slaves.
Some of the stuff people are talking about with these fires in California aren't too far off from how goofy that is.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the footage of these fires that are going on?
It's horrifying. It is fucking terrifying. Like the scope of... around here, the biggest fires that we get are like a house burning down. Like fires on the scale that they're dealing with are just, it's hard to comprehend like how such a thing can even exist and how overwhelming it must be to even try to put it out.
Yeah. I mean, it was a few days ago that they were saying that it was eating a football field's length every like 30 seconds, which almost doesn't seem real. It doesn't make sense, and it probably doesn't compute for a lot of us city folk. But I mean, it's just like my uncle was just in Paradise. I would say last month he was looking for a house up there. He wants to move up there, and now that entire city's gone. Like you can look it up. There's pictures of it. The city's gone. So when we see stuff like that, it's shocking to us. Like we mentioned before, it's a new day and age. we're seeing stuff like cell phone footage come out of people who are trying to escape these fires. There's a lot of people who are trapped in these fires. So with that comes conspiracy theories. Now, with something like a forest fire, Mike, what type of conspiracy theories would you expect to start popping up?
I don't know. Like, to me, it doesn't seem like it's really very conspiratorial. Whenever I hear forest fire, I'm thinking either some asshole was careless with a cigarette butt, someone was building campfires when they shouldn't have, or lightning struck a tree. Those are like the biggest ones that I could come up with. But I don't know. I don't typically associate conspiracy theories with forest fires. Like, even with the rainforest, and while that is definitely people causing that intentionally, I don't think that there's a conspiracy behind it. They're pretty blatant with what they're doing. Conspiracies are never really something that I consider in this sort of situation until now.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that we've steered pretty clear of conspiracy theories doing the show, right? I mean, we talk about them.
For the most part, I mean, unless you count like the alien cover-up thing, because that's a pretty big conspiracy theory in a lot of people's eyes. And, but I don't think we've really hit on the big ones. Like, we haven't talked about JFK, and we haven't done 9/11 and the Holocaust not being real or any of that stuff. It's, maybe sometime we will. But I feel like, especially like the JFK one, it's been done to death, and no doubt has been done better than we could do it many times. So, like, the only thing that would be different if we were to cover the JFK thing is there would probably be evil time traveling Barack Obama jokes. And that's the only difference. So, there's no point in us doing that. If you want to hear the evil time traveling Barack Obama jokes, you could listen to any other episode. So you don't need to hear about he who is not to be named attacking JFK and Barry Soetoro potentially saving him, or maybe getting high and missing his cue. But I basically just painted the picture for you there. So now we don't need to do that episode. And the 9/11 episode, it's something that I would really like to do at some point, but I know it's a sensitive subject for a lot of people still, and I don't want to do anything to to bum anybody out. This is supposed to be a fun show. We're not here to make people feel bummed out and sad. We're here to talk about lasers from outer space blowing up Bambi.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few things that I saw that made me question what was going on with these fires and bring it up to you. And one of the first things that I came across was these aerial videos of Paradise, a city that's completely gone now, but they have these, scorched neighborhoods, and they'll have a house that's like not even smoke damaged, just completely perfect, standing in the middle of just complete destruction. And there's tons of them like that. Now, I don't know anything about fires or how they burn, but when a fire is swallowing a football field every 30 seconds, I don't think that any houses would be surviving, do you?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the direction of the wind. Maybe they had this house was surrounded by a different sort of concrete or something. Maybe they had a pool. I don't know. Maybe there was no grass. There's a lot of reasons why a house wouldn't burn when its neighbor did burn, and I think a lot of it most likely has to do with wind. The wind was probably pushing the fire in one direction. The wind changed, and the fire blew in the other direction, just at the perfect moment where it would have started going over into the neighbor's yard. Instead, the wind blew and it carried it in the other direction, and it burned the neighbor on the other side or behind them or a park or whatever.
Like I said, I don't know shit about that stuff, but I can't believe that. I don't know. And I don't know what it means, to be honest. To me, it was just supremely odd to see how.
Well, think of it this way. Like, if think of it on a small scale. if you're building a campfire and you've got a big fire pit and you've got fire burning on the right hand side, and to the left you've got a single log. There's nothing connecting them. It's just a log chilling next to this fire. And say it's a windy day and the wind begins blowing behind the flame towards this log over to the side. The flame is going to move with the wind, and the potential to light that log is considerably greater. Whereas if the wind is blowing from the opposite direction over the log that's off to the left and blowing through the flames that way, you're going to have the flames following it that way.
But I think that log's eventually going to be consumed.
If it's not connecting, it won't. Unless there's hot coals underneath it or hot coals connecting them. It'll probably get singed from the fire or from the heat, but it's not going to combust unless you had there's a lot of elements involved, but like on the small scale in a campfire, it's not going to happen if you don't have coals connecting the two things. So I know this is on a considerably greater scale, but if the flames are burning and there's nothing that's super combustible between the Smith's house and the Jones house, like there's no fence, there's no grass, maybe it's all concrete, and the wind blows in the other direction, it's not going to melt the concrete or whatever it does to, I don't know what it does to concrete, but it's not going to do that because the wind's blowing away from it, and it's just going to carry on burning all the other shit.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. I still have trouble buying that. It's just the
Fire's
damage.
a fickle bitch.
It is, and there's some weird shit that happens with fires.
So what's your explanation? Is it, did the lasers put it out over this one house? Like that, the Jones, they're good ones. We'll keep them around, but fuck you, Smiths.
No, because it's just like 2 or 3 houses, an entire neighborhood. So I don't know what it means. To me, it's just bizarre. That's not something I think would happen at all. If somebody knows anything, please send us an email and let us know, because it was just one of the first things that struck me as odd, because for this to happen, for it to consume as much land as it is and the amount of time that it is, this is a firestorm. There's videos of fucking tornadoes made of flame happening where these fires are going on. And it's nuts. It's insane. There's some people filming themselves leaving their houses, and it's just undescribable what's going on. It's like the end of the world looking. So I don't know, but I don't know what that means for these houses that are standing. I don't know why that would be going on. But there's another video that I came across, and it was of a helicopter, and it seemed to be dumping like a molten lit material into a forest, starting a fire. Now, it looks like it's from drone footage. The footage is pretty good, so it doesn't seem to be old at all. But again, we don't know where this is from. People are just putting up everything now that these fires are going on. I mean, people are going apeshit with conspiracies about these fires. I mean, Instagram has just been like hours of entertainment looking at all these videos. And I shared a couple of them with you, Mike, but there's no context.
I do have an idea about this helicopter footage. And you can see in the background that there's a fire going on. So what I'm thinking is it's the angle of the camera. Because if you start out watching, when you first start watching, it looks like it's dumping water. It's just clear coming out. And then as it changes angle, it starts to look like it's like white. And then it starts looking like it's glowing fucking red ember or orange embers. But you can see that the angle changes as the color is changing. So what I'm thinking is it's dumping out the water, and as the whatever's filming it, the angle changes and the fire gets behind where they're going. The fire is being seen like it's catching the water, and its light is being cast through the water, like if you were to catch light on a mirror.
I see what you're saying.
It's just water that's being dumped out of this thing, like in front of the fire. So as the fire approaches where they dumped the water, it's all going to be wet there, and maybe it'll slow the fire down. And just that angle makes it look like it's dumping molten lava.
Yeah, there's to me it looks a little bit better than that. The fact that we don't know where this footage comes from, this could be a controlled burn from 2 years ago. Who knows? But it's just interesting to consider that that's surfacing now. And the last video that I saw, it was the one that you just watched last. And there's a lot that could explain this. To me, it's just odd as well. But it's this dude walking down the street. It's like a street in a residential area, right, Mike?
Yeah, well, it looks like it.
Well,
it's hard to say. It's mostly just cars in the street.
everything's gone. Everything's been burned, and the fires ran through it. Nothing's on fire anymore, but there's these cars lining the streets, and they're full of skeletons. And this guy's just talking about how they didn't make it, they didn't get out in time. But it's just odd that somebody noted that there's nobody got out of their cars, and who would stay in their car if their car caught on fire? I mean, even in human instinct and panic, you think you'd get out of your car. But you brought up smoke inhalation, which is most likely the explanation for that.
Or even if it was like an unexpected thing, like they got stuck in traffic trying to escape, and as they're sitting there in traffic, one of the cars next to them happens to ignite, and then it explodes. And then the people that are surrounding this car get hit with debris and die as a result.
Very true.
Or just good old fashioned smoke inhalation. Or the other thing that it could be, and I don't know, because I've only seen footage like amateur footage. I haven't seen anything official showing the skeletons and the burned out cars. But it is also possible that maybe these cars or this footage was from some other place, and it's just some American doing a voiceover, just so it seems like it's these California fires. But what if it was like someplace in Afghanistan or somewhere in the Middle East where there was a suicide bomb attack and it blew up all these cars with all the people in it? And then you just have someone be like, oh my God, it's the fires, it's the California fires, and they're burning everything alive.
Yep, and that's the saddest thing, man. If we mention it all the time, with today's day and age, with the way people are, they want video footage to believe in anything. But we're also in the day and age where it's the easiest to manipulate video footage. So we can't trust anything that's coming out.
No, you can only trust it if you see it.
Yeah.
With your own eyes, if you're witness to it. Otherwise, it could just be someone being a douche on the internet. Because the internet, as we know, is filled with douchebags.
Yep. You're listening to a couple right now.
It's true. It's true. Just two douchebags on the internet being douchey. I mean, at least we're not Alex Jones.
Yeah.
It's a whole other level of douche.
We don't sell any emergency food kits or water
Maybe we should start selling water filtration systems. I think that's where the real money is. Screw podcasting. Give me some dubious health supplements.
Dubious. But yeah, death lasers from space. That's what people are claiming these are. There's some footage of. I was trying to find one to send to you, Mike, but it's just
some footage of death lasers.
Yeah, that's what they're claiming they are, and it's just like electrical boxes exploding, and people are like, "What is that?" And, it's just weird stuff like that.
There's also a conspiracy that 9/11 was done by space lasers, and then all the news reports did the Photoshop of the plane crashing in, but it was really space lasers and holograms.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's bizarre, man.
If we break that down, fucking death rays from outer space, is it possible that there's satellites that are armed with death lasers floating around in the atmosphere? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
And that helps that conspiracy a lot. So, we got to think, like with the chemtrails, you say, why would these people be doing this to a place where they live as well?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
doesn't make sense. Like no one the biggest thing with like the really dumb conspiracy theories like chemtrails and flat earth theory is no one has a reason why. Like, usually with conspiracy theories, like there's a reason behind it. It's not just because, like with the chemtrails, the idea is that it's being used to manipulate the climate patterns on Earth and prevent some of the sun's radiation from reaching us to prevent us from catastrophic global warming. If that was the case, for one, why is there still talk about global warming and climate change? That it's clearly not doing its job. The other side of the conspiracy is that this is harmful, toxic chemicals that's slowly poisoning the population, and if you get even crazier, that this is helping them to control the minds of the populace somehow. And it doesn't make sense because the same people that would be behind doing this also live here. So if you're spraying these things all over the world, and or even if it's just certain countries, like if the powers that be live in the United States, they're being sprayed by the same shit. You don't see these people walking around with gas masks. What, do they have some pill that makes them immune to chemtrails? It's silly, and nobody can explain that. I'm sure people like Alex Jones and his faithful would probably say that they're taking some sort of crazy supplements or something that allows them to not be affected by these toxic chemicals being sprayed in our atmosphere. But that is a stretch and a half.
it is. And the same thing goes for these fires. I don't understand why some agency be willing to destroy so much property, kill so many people, or leave so many people homeless, and pollute the air as much as these fires are. I mean, over here where I'm at, it's been fucking horrible. I mean, all the years that I was in school, they never canceled school because of like a natural disaster. And they actually canceled school here last Friday because the air quality was so bad. I mean, the closest fire to me is 144 miles away. That's how bad these fires are. It was constant fog. It was constant like dusk. Everything was orange. It was just incredible. I mean, it was hard to breathe. Literally was hard to breathe. We were locked in our houses. Everybody out here. There's nobody on the street. You couldn't breathe. And I don't see, like, to what end with that? Why do all that? I mean, that's something that's weird about this too. If you want to be conspiratorial about it, this fire has killed what I think it's, the last I checked, it's almost 90 people have been killed by this fire, but they're missing almost 700 people missing.
Wow, that's scary.
That's way scary.
You got to think if they're missing that they are probably incinerated.
Very true, but as we see with footage,
also something to consider is if you're in the path of fire and you want to get away with murder, what better way to kill someone and get away with it?
Oh yeah, I think there was an actual, like a comic book or something that was about that. The serial killer
really?
that waited and traveled for natural disasters.
Wow.
And yeah, would searching for people through rubble would kill people or just go strike. I mean, like I think there's something like that with Katrina, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am. Like there was a serial killer that struck there at that time.
Yeah, that's really scary as well.
Yeah.
Like you're running, you're packing all your shit, and all of a sudden you turn around, there's a dude waiting there right by the door with a crowbar, and he just fucking caves your skull in and leaves you to burn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so scary.
But almost 700 people missing, and like we see in the footage, these people who are getting hit by these fires, I mean, it's leaving their skeletons. They're charred for sure. Unfortunately, we don't mean to be insensitive about the people who have died in these fires. But I mean, there's something left of them, and they're the ones using the term missing. They have they're not dead. They don't have any bodies. So what's that? And one thing that's being thrown around a lot, as far as the conspiracies about this goes, is the start of something called Agenda 21. Have you ever heard of this?
I have briefly, and I know that it's tied up with a lot of these disaster scenarios. And if I remember correctly, FEMA is also involved with these FEMA camps that are supposed to take away people. And they're called emergency camps, but they become concentration camps.
Yeah, I had never heard of this before. And like you're saying, there's a lot of things that trickle down or lay blame on this Agenda 21. There's a lot of stuff that conspiracy theorists use Agenda 21 as a base for their conspiracy theory. But it's basically a UN action plan for, quote, sustainable development. And it was developed at the Earth Summit, which was a UN conference on environment and development held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992. And one of their goals for this Agenda 21 is that one be in place for every local government in the UN. So every city would have their own Agenda 21. And like you had mentioned, nerds like to believe that through this plan and others like it, that this will help whatever the fucking reptilians, New World Order, whatever you want to call it, to be able to legally start or at least get the ball rolling on Operation Thin a Fucking Herd or whatever you want to call it. They link a lot of things to it like this. Like you said, the FEMA camps, they'd be able to start those up with this plan set in action. And, but with all these missing people, it just kind of made me raise my eyebrow when I heard about this Agenda 21. Because you would expect that number to be reversed, wouldn't you? 600 something people dead and 80 something people missing.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because in disasters, there's always chaos and people scrambling to get away, and people just kind of lose track of people until things get back underway. And it's not even that, sometimes it's not even that the person is missing, it's just that they're unaccounted for. They could be with a large group of people, at an emergency shelter or something, but they're just unaccounted for. If we want to get really deep in the conspiracy spiral here, the fires could be used in order to abduct people for whatever reason. The missing 411 people are being abducted for whatever reason. They need them on a grand scale, so they start this fire to create all this chaos, and in the midst of the chaos they just spirit people away. And because it's fire, people just assume that their bodies are incinerated, but they're not incinerated. They're in some multi-dimensional pocket being eaten by Bigfoot or something. Or maybe it's demons from hell. They opened hell, Mateo. 144 miles from your house, hell is open.
It looks like it, man, from the videos that are out there.
It does. And everybody knows that hell is filled with fire and brimstone, and the devil is sending his demons out to feast on the souls of sinners. And with it comes fire and death and destruction and everything heavy metal that you can think of.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. One thing I'm not seeing that I'm surprised at is the sign of the times type of thing. The end of the world shit.
Well, give it time, Mateo.
Yeah,
give it time.
I guess so.
You'll see. I guarantee some in some city, some of the probably in like fucking San Francisco or something. There's some guy with a sandwich board handing out gospel pamphlets, screaming about the end times. Repent. The fire will consume your body. And then in the afterlife, when you go to hell, the fires will consume your soul.
Echo, dude. You got echo?
Oh, yeah. The fires will consume your soul. Brought to you by Jesus Christ.
One thing that I read that conspiracy theorists linked to Agenda 21 was that they're setting these fires as a way to get people to herd into more citied areas. Like it's a way to eliminate people who live in more rural areas, so they can start some type of, I don't know, launch on a city, the rounding up of people, which might be easier in a city environment.
So just to get people into population centers
Yeah.
for what?
Feeding lizard people, the same old shit, all the stuff you
You're
talk
probably
about.
right. Just like that crazy caller that called Art Bell saying stay away from population centers.
Yep.
Remember that dude who worked for Area 51?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny that we're talking about this now. I just got a notification from the Weather Channel about this new report that's come out from the government, and the National Climate Assessment, that's what the report was called. It was written before the fires started in California and before Hurricane Florence and Hurricane Michael hit. But it was talking about how climate change is affecting natural disasters in the United States. And over the last few years in our country, the records for natural disasters have been broken time and time again. And we're seeing warmer and drier conditions, and that's being thought to contribute to a lot of the disasters we're seeing now, like the fires, for instance. And in the report, they were basically predicting things that would happen, like forest fires on a massive scale. And here we are, forest fires on a massive scale as a result.
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy, man.
It is. I mean, I've lived in California my whole life. There's always a fire somewhere here. But I mean, like the Oakland fires, when those happened when I was a kid, I used to be able to stand on my grandma's porch and see the red glow of the fires on the hills. It was close. You can see the fire, and there wasn't smoke in the air like this. Nothing, not close to it at all.
Yeah, you sent me that picture from, was that your yard?
No, that was by my kid's school.
Oh, but you could see all the smoke in the horizon. It looked all hazy. It can't be good for you, man.
No, I'll send you a picture of it now, since we got a huge, like a 3 or 4 days of rain over here, and it really helped. It cleared out almost everything. The air quality on I like the app on my phone. It has an air quality thing, and it was saying, like, don't even go outside if you have respiratory problems. You know, it was scary. It was like the worst air quality it could be. It was they were saying that it was well, it still is as bad as Beijing, China's air quality. And
wow, that's bad.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'll take a picture tomorrow when the sun's out of how it looks now without all that smoke there, and you'll be shocked. It was weird to see it because I hadn't seen it for like a week. And I was like, whoa. I mean, you can see people's cars that live on those hills. It was catastrophic looking.
Yeah, and the pictures that you can see, I mean, where you're seeing it, you're almost 150 miles away. Like, the pictures from up close are just terrifying.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. It made me appreciate the whole smoke inhalation thing 1,000 times more. 150 miles away from this fire, and we're all having trouble breathing.
Yeah, just imagine if
Yellowstone,
if that goes. Well, if that goes, I guess you won't even have to worry about air quality because you'll be too busy burning alive. But the rest of us will be choking on volcanic ash and dying.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a thing, like, even over here on the East Coast, we would be getting volcanic ash rained down on us, and the sun would be blotted out. Oh God, that thing's scary.
It is.
I really don't like. I think I'd rather be in your shoes, honestly, getting melted by lava than dying of fucking volcanic ash. Ooh.
I just watched some documentary on the 1906 San Francisco earthquakes because there's like 28 aftershocks, and they were talking about Yellowstone, and they only did a little bit on it, but they just stressed the point that it's not a matter of if, it's when. And it's
a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and they always say that with Yellowstone and the big big earthquake that's supposed to happen in California.
Yeah. The one that's gonna set California adrift into the ocean.
Yeah.
Or is it supposed to sink like Atlantis?
It's supposed to sink if you listen to Tool.
Nice. Well, either way, I hope you like the ocean.
No.
Which I know you don't. So
I don't.
see, that's the good thing about living up here. Like, sure, we get snowstorms and stuff, but as far as evil weather that wants to fucking destroy our lives, we don't get earthquakes, we don't get hurricanes, we don't get fires. Tornadoes are very, very rare. And when they do happen, they last like a minute or two. And it's very rare that anyone dies or gets their house destroyed or anything.
Yeah.
So we don't have to deal with any of that shit. We don't have fucking animals that, well, no, we do have bears,
Yes,
so
you
I
do.
can't say that. but we don't have like fucking venomous spiders that we have to worry about. Like there is one venomous spider that's native to the area, and it's not going to kill you. It's just going to be really painful if you get bit by it. And then we've got like, I think 2 venomous snakes that live here, but they are easy to avoid. They're not going to crawl into your shoe, you know. So long as you stay out of the mountains, you don't have to worry about bears, and then you're pretty much good.
The entire city I live in is on the San Andreas fault line. So we have earthquakes like every other day.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun, man.
No. You know, growing up here and going through the 89 earthquake, they're still terrifying. Like to the core. They're absolutely terrifying.
I can only imagine. I was when that big earthquake hit Washington, one of the aftershocks, I think, it ended up hitting up here. And I was in one of the tallest buildings in Syracuse, New York, and I was on the 11th floor. And we could feel the whole building start to shake.
Oh.
And everyone was like, what the hell? Like, we had no idea what was going on. At first we thought it was an actual earthquake here, but we were just feeling the aftershocks from Washington, D.C. And that was scary enough. Like, none of my shit got knocked over on my desk even, but it was just like you could feel the building waving back and forth.
Oh, man.
But I think that was more because I was on the 11th floor than anything. You know, like if I was on ground floor, I probably wouldn't have even felt it.
Well, yeah, let's just concluding with the fires, you know, laser beams, who knows? I'm not supporting any conspiracies with these fires. I don't know. I mean, they can trace how they're fucking started, so we'll see how.
Maybe it was Bigfoot just being careless and banging 2 rocks together.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to cook a hot dog.
Yeah, he's banging some rocks, and then a spark goes flying. He's like, "Oh shit!"
Some asshole college kids left like 4 unfinished beers out at their campsite.
Yeah, he got a little tipsy, banged some rocks together, started a fire.
But what about that? What about anybody being able to harness the power of earthquakes? Because we hear a lot about that. That goes all the way back to Tesla and shit.
So going back to that the DC earthquake, that one, there's a conspiracy theory around that as well. And it was that there was this weapon that was being used that could create an earthquake. And the wacky conspiracy that I've heard for this is that there is a group of good-intentioned extraterrestrials that have been warning the powers that be on the earth that they need to end the wars and stop oppressing all of the people and being dicks and elitist and all that. And basically the powers that be were like, fuck you hippie aliens, we're going to continue raping the people and the earth for everything that they have so that we can be richer and richer and richer. So as a result, these hippie aliens used this weapon to create, basically it was an underground blast in this, I guess a underground base. It would have been one of the domes, and it caused this base to explode underground, which caused the earthquake because it was a nuclear detonation underground, or an explosion that would be the equivalent of a nuclear detonation underground. And I guess based on the seismograph, they said it just like kind of usually with an earthquake, it's like a slow build up to the peak and then it stops. But in this one, I guess it was just like a really abrupt start. It just started at full force. There was no rumbles beforehand. And the conspiracy is that it was an underground detonation to destroy this base in Washington, D.C. Or this base that was under Washington, D.C.
Huh.
But I've also heard about this same sort of weaponized earthquake stuff being used for the earthquake that caused the tsunami that hit Fukushima and damaged the nuclear power plant. That, you know, it's still irradiating the ocean from this disaster. Like, it's not really talked about much anymore, but these things, the radiation from this place are still entering the waters of the Pacific Ocean. And there's been debris that's even washed up in California from Japan that is showing it's reading positive for radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary as hell.
It is.
But again, it's so with the Washington earthquake, at least in that conspiracy, there's a reason. It's the hippie aliens against the asshole old guys in suits. But for Fukushima, like that doesn't make sense. Like, are they flexing their power?
Yeah, who's
Like,
flexing
look
their
what we
power?
can do. And by causing nuclear fallout to go into the Pacific Ocean, that's affecting a lot of people, including the U.S. And that stuff's washing up on our shores. It's affecting our seafood. It's killing the wildlife or mutating the wildlife or thawing out megalodons. Who knows, man? Maybe Godzilla, maybe the Kraken, maybe Cthulhu, maybe all of the above. Maybe it's just going to be some crazy fight.
Yeah, maybe we gave up on Nessie too soon. I mean, it's not going to be in the Loch Ness, but if there's ever going to be a time where a mutated giant creature is going to shoot out of the ocean, it's going to be now.
It's going to be now. Cloverfield monsters coming out. It's all of them. It's going to be Cloverfield and Godzilla
all of
and
them?
the Kraken and a mutated Nessie and Cthulhu and Megalodons.
No way.
Yeah, that's the apocalypse we have to look forward to. It's not going to be zombies. It's not going to be aliens. It's going to be giant monsters rampaging across the face of the planet, eating people and kicking cars and fucking shitting all over our cities. Because that's one thing that you never see in the monsters disaster movies. Like, those things are big as hell, and those things will be shitting all over your city.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean,
they're
probably
living
every
things.
20 feet, right?
Living things shit. And especially if it's going to be something that's huge, that's going to be eating people and maybe other monsters. Like, that thing's going to leave huge bus-sized dumps right in the middle of your street
Oh
or
my
on your
God.
house.
That's horrible.
Just imagine the smell. And that's what we have to look forward to as our world burns from fucking space lasers and earthquake machines.
Do they really think somebody did that to cause the earthquake in Japan? That somebody did that on purpose?
That's the conspiracy theory.
Wow, yeah, that's a evil villain, destroy the world type of move.
Totally. That is totally. Give me $5 billion, or I will send my tsunami machine to destroy Japan. And then no one listens to his podcast or watches his YouTube channel. He's got like 5 followers on Twitter. He's like, I'll show you all. And then he does it, and then he tries to take responsibility for it, and people are like, you are fucking just a nut job. You are like the foreign equivalent of Alex Jones. Like, go away. You don't have an earthquake gun. You're just being stupid.
The YouTube police track him down, and he gets arrested, and he's never heard from again.
They ban him from YouTube, and then he's just like, oh, there's no point anymore.
But I make the money off of the ads.
They demonetize all his videos.
Lord, no. Yeah, who knows?
That's what you get, Baron Von Hangnail. Don't be trying to fire your earthquake guns at Japan anymore. Fucking asshole. We know what you're up to. We know who you really work for.
That shit's scary though, dude. That nuclear reactor melting down like that. I mean, shit washing up in California that's radiated. I mean,
yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, there's an MMA fighter who goes over there and helps, and he had a health scare recently, and it's like, God damn, that wasn't like 25 years ago. That was really recent, and we're already seeing people having health side effects from being there. It's still happening. It's still a problem. I watched a documentary on that recently, and it's like people are like, oh yeah, that happened. It's like, no, they still need help. That still needs to get figured out.
So figure it out, damn it.
Everybody together, put our minds together. We can't.
Everybody,
can't fill it with ice cream. That idea's gone.
If we could, nuclear ice cream.
God,
that sounds delicious.
Imagine the sea monsters, though, dude. We're not talking about like an ancient time-old beast from the sea. These are mutations. What if there's like megalodons that have rows of human legs under it, so it can just crawl on land like a giant submarine of death? Oh God, no.
I don't think mutations work that way, but goddamn, that's a terrifying picture. It's like a centipede, but a fucking 60-foot shark.
Yeah, I mean, this is you couldn't write it. There's a nuclear reactor meltdown and it leaked into the ocean. This is how this happens.
Did you ever see the movie The Host?
Hell yeah, I did.
Instead of nuclear fallout, it was toxic chemicals, but that was such a cool monster.
It was. That thing was brutal.
Yeah. It's just like it's the size of like a dump truck. It's not Godzilla size. It's big enough so it's like absolutely terrifying when it's rampaging the streets. It's not just some big monster that might step on you by accident.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that's actively pursuing people and trying to eat their faces.
Yep.
God damn, that movie's awesome.
It's superb acting in that film.
Yeah. So that's our future, guys. Giant monsters and space lasers. So
get used to it.
Yeah. I hope you like those things. You'll have just enough time to geek out about the Death Star right before you explode.
Zombie apocalypse? Psh.
Zombie apocalypse is for pussies.
Yeah. Monster apocalypse is...
Yeah.
That's survival.
Monster/Death Star apocalypse.
Ugh.
Explosions and feeding time and fires and everybody dies.
We're all doomed.
All of us. But, maybe Donald Trump will build that space wall and keep the Martians at bay. Gotta look at the silver lining in these situations. Sure, we've got giant monsters and Death Stars, but at least those goddamn Martians are staying put.
If there is a monster invasion, we will keep recording, guys. That's the silver lining.
We will video record so that you can see the horror on our face while you guys are also experiencing horror and not watching us. Because if the apocalypse happens, I really hope you have better things to do than see what we're up to. But we will be live streaming during the apocalypse, just to let you know in advance. So if you got nothing going on and you want somebody to hang out with, we're the next best thing.
Yeah, we'll want you guys to take videos and photos of what monsters are in your area. If you guys want a good taste of what this is going to be like, go to our YouTube and listen to Mike's Mariana's Trench document, SCP read.
Yeah, there even is in that there is a mention of a 20-foot man made of fire that burns everything in his path
as he walks.
Scoops people up. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it's not far off. Maybe we should link that in the show notes.
We will. And then we'll all pray that that's not what's going to happen.
Let's hope.
Or what's already happening. Da, da, da.
Oh my God.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.